It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome in, folks. Kevin Thomas, John Epps here, Moving the Chains. Got our 4A and 5A season previews going on tonight. We're going to do some favorites, some dark horses, some sleepers, things like that. John, before we get going here, any first comments before we kind of break down some of these regions and kind of things like that here for the folks?
I'm really excited about 4A because of the shuffling that we see within the regions for schools coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Schools going from 5A down to 4A, and some really good schools. It's going to make things pretty interesting in 4A.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. We didn't really see anybody go up. We saw some guys go down, like you mentioned there. So this is you guys' first time tuning in. We really appreciate you. We do a preview show every week on Tuesday nights. Be sure to check that out. We do a recap show on Sundays as well to kind of recap the action from that week. Got a lot of cool stuff with interviews and whatnot coming up for you guys as well this year. This is your first time. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Movin the Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Also, we do an audio-only version of the show. We put it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And just announced about 2 hours ago, we now have our own website, John. Very exciting. It's just movinchains.com, MOVINCHAINS. We've got lots of great stuff, like all of our videos on there. We have Players of the Week on there, our road trip stuff, and maybe the best part, John, we've got our own message board, the locker room. Talk to the folks about that and what kind of cool stuff we can see on there this year.
Yeah, think about if any of you guys go on the 247 boards or the Rivals boards. I used to love getting on the Rivals college sound-off board. It's a good way you can talk a little trash, and you can find out things that are going on around the state with other schools, other programs. Really, really informative stuff where hey, you guys use it too to update us on things, what's going on. I'm really looking forward to it. I think on Thursdays, before games, a little bit of trash talk, a little bit of prediction talk going on, and then really looking forward to it on after games. Either it be Friday night, Saturdays, Mondays on reactions to what goes on. With high school football, what I love is there's so much more than what you just see in the box score. Mm-hmm. Guys that are at the games talking about what was going on in the stands, what was going on the sidelines, talking about, big plays that may change momentum in the game. Really looking forward to that kind of stuff in the message board. So hope all you guys utilize that, have fun with that. I don't think we really have any rules in it,
No,
so,
not yet. Yeah,
not yet.
If we have to make some, we will. But and I tell you, John, we made some waves yesterday with our Mr. Football preseason watch list there. Super 75. Get in there, let us know who you think we left off, who maybe should be a favorite. Get in there and talk through that with us as well. But John, let's get rolling here, kind of with our 4A preview stuff here. We're going to do something we did on the other show the other night, guys. We're going to read through the high school sports report rankings. They've got 15 through 1 here. Like we said, we don't necessarily agree with it, but we're just going to read them out there to kind of get us a basis point. We're going to read through those, make some comments on some teams, and kind of go from there, John. So in 4A this year, preseason poll is number 15, James Island.
Okay.
Number 14, Westside. Number 13, Lawrence. Number 12, Irmo. Number 11, Ridgeview. Number 10, York. Number 9, AC Flora. Number 8, Hartsville. Number 7, West Florence. Number 6, South Florence. Number 5, Greenville. Number 4, Greenwood. Number 3, Northwestern. Number 2, Myrtle Beach. And number 1, the defending 4A state champions, the South Point Stallions. John, what are your, gut, initial reactions to that list there?
Did you say Riverside?
I did not. Riverside did not
I
make
think
the ranking there.
That's a little surprising. Riverside was a team that had a really good season last year in 5A.
I think they got to 5 or 6-0, and they had some injuries that kind of hurt them.
Yeah, and their quarterback, really good player, got hurt halfway through the year. Obviously, that hurt him a lot. But Riverside is a good football team. They made it to the playoffs last year. Not a perennial, not who you think of being a good football program. They're typically a spring sport type of school, good baseball program. But they're really good. I think they're going to be good again this year. And then they get to drop down to 4A instead of 5A. I would probably put them in the top 10, certainly in the top 15 preseason.
Yeah. Well, let's just start there at the top, John. The number 1 team, the South Point Stallions. They return a decent bit, a lot on defense. I feel like they've got A.J. Miller, big-time defensive end back. DJ Barksdale, a really good DB back. He's going to play some on offense as well this season. They do have to replace, Wayman Jenneret, one of my favorite players in the state last year, out wide for those guys. Also have to replace the quarterback, McCrory. They do have Damari Kendrick back, and running back Aiden Turner. A couple good players there for them. They got to figure out the quarterback spot. They've got a couple young guys that are kind of working in and out. They'll be a talented team, even though they've got a new coach as well this year with Coach Bobby Collins.
Yeah, and with South Point, we talked a little bit on Tuesday as well, 1A, 2A, 3A, some of these schools that are breaking in a new quarterback and how that's going to work. South Point has always had pretty good quarterback play, but what South Point quarterback have you seen go to the next level and play quarterback?
That's true. That's a good point.
They always
That's
find,
a good
they
point.
got so many athletes at South Point. They find Coach Holland did a great job. They find an athlete that they can put back there that is going to be not serviceable, but very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, you think it, especially back to Omega Blake 2 years ago. He's playing receiver at South Carolina now. He was a guy who was kind of a lot of a wildcat quarterback, played some out wide for them, but they did a good job of getting the balls in the hands of the guys that can make plays for them for sure.
Yeah, everybody does that. Every team does that. You can expect, hey, the best athlete on your team is probably your quarterback.
Yep.
But South Point, they seem to do it as well or better than anybody else in the state. So I'm not really worried about the quarterback spot. With that team and how much talent we know that they have.
Now, I will say that is a team we'll find a lot about in week 0. Saturday night over in Rock Hill, District 3 Stadium. They're playing the defending 5A state champion Gaffney Indians. That'll be a heck of a matchup. And even if South Point loses, but if they can keep it close, that will be very impressive. I feel like going against a tough Gaffney team that we'll get more into here in a little bit for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game more next week. But that's going to be a game where South Point could probably say, "Hey, we can let it rip."
Yeah.
More pressure on Gaffney in that game, I think, than South Point.
Yep. The next team there, Myrtle Beach, always a contender in 4A, John. They do replace a lot this year. Losing quarterback Ryan Berger to App State, receiver Adam Randall to Clemson. But they got some talent coming back. They got Jake Doty, the younger brother of Luke, playing out wide. They've got a running back, Malachi Washington, had a really good year last year as a sophomore. And they've got a QB transfer in from West Virginia. Take me home, baby.
Okay.
Trey Dunn, another guy on our Super 75 list there. Really good player. That team is going to be fun to watch. This might be the year that they get knocked off in the region, with so many talented guys that we'll get to in a minute, like South Florence, West Florence, and whatnot. But they will be there right there at the end of it again, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, they are in arguably the toughest region in 4A. And it's been that way for a while. It's actually the region that they're in, that Region 6. It's the exact same region this year, but they lose Darlington.
Yeah, Darlington.
That's a benefit for Darlington.
Yes.
More than anything else. Darlington actually drops down to 3A for next year. I don't think we mentioned that Tuesday, but that's the only change in Region 6, but still a very tough, very competitive region.
Yeah, they actually, they lose a lot of offensive linemen too. I think last year they had 5 returning starters. Lost almost all those guys this year, so that'll be tough to come back from as well. The number 3 team there that we saw, the Northwestern Trojans, a new team to 4A. A team that's been a big-time powerhouse even in 5A. Going deep in playoffs, they lost to Gaffney in overtime last year, and I think the next, I guess it would have been 3rd round of the playoffs. I believe it was, John. They lost to them.
Yes, that was semifinals of Upper State.
Yeah. So they've also got to replace their quarterback, Will Madison, one of our favorite players in the state last year. But they've got some good skill guys back. They've got running back Turbo Richard back. They've got receiver Elijah Caldwell. I know you're a big fan of him. I think he's a West Virginia commit. He's back. On defense, Damian Jackson, linebacker, is back. That's going to be fun to see how that goes because they're in the same region as South Point now, too.
Yeah. And that's another region. I said Myrtle Beach, arguably the toughest region, because I was thinking about this region, too. So that is Region 3. You got Catawba Ridge. Catawba Ridge is in that region. Lancaster, also, they're not a pushover. And you got York as well.
Yeah.
You really don't have Indian Land rounds out that region.
I think they were even tough last year.
You don't have – Indian Land did have a better year last year. You really don't have any kind of what you would consider an off week in that region. That's going to be very exciting, very competitive region.
For sure. Next, we've got Greenwood. Always a tough out because of that kind of, flexible on offense they run there. Running back V. Morton is back. Really good play. I think he ran for 1,700 or 1,800 yards last year. He's back. They are replacing the quarterback. They've got a new guy in, what is his name here? Caleb Burton. Another couple of running backs, Tajay Dennis and Halen Robinson, going to kind of take the place of those guys there. But V. Morton is going to be the guy. I think he's got a chance to run for 2,000 yards this year. Greenwood, always tough, John. You think of Greenwood, big, strong, physical guy. We saw them play week 0 last year against against Hillcrest. Looked very good, very strong, and they made a deep run in the playoffs, losing only to South Point later.
In a close game.
Yeah, Greenwood played South Point very well, so they'll be good this year as well. Any teams you want to talk about next, John? I've got a whole list here, so you pick where you want to go. We'll kind of follow that.
Let's talk about Ridgeview.
Okay.
Ridgeview is another team that was very, very good in 5A last year. They made some noise in the playoffs. They took something I said to heart last year going to the playoffs.
We had some fun
Used
with
that
those
some
guys.
motivation. So that was really, really cool. They're a really good team. They get to drop down to 4A this year. Now, they're also in a very good region. This is Region 5. You've got AC4 and Irmo and Westwood is in that region. During the offseason, we love everything we've heard about Westwood. We're really excited about what that Westwood program is going to do this year. But having to welcome in the Blazers in Region 5, that's going to be another one that's going to be really, really tough. 4 has had, I won't say an easy road, but I think Ridgeview comes in and they got to be the second best team, if not the best team in that region. Yeah,
Ridgeview, I will say one thing I don't like about them right now is they've kind of got 2 quarterbacks. And what's the old saying? You've got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. I know when Coach Howard's looking at playing both of them, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but they've got tons of skill guys. And they've got, receivers Chris Lawson, Zion Agnew getting, D1 offers. And they brought in receiver Adonis McDaniel from AC4, transfers over. They've got 3 really impressive weapons on the outside, John. If they can just find a way to get in the ball, they're going to be super tough. And, they've always got athletes flying around on defense. So Ridgeview is going to be a tough team, tough out this year as well.
I think they're going to be another team to really watch because I think they were they maybe 9th in that top 10 poll?
Yeah.
Just stuck into the top 10.
Somewhere around that number.
I think I have them.
11. They had them 11. Yes.
See, I would have them closer to the top 5. I think they're a really good team. They really impressed me last year, and especially toward the back half of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah. Another team here in the upstate, John, I'll talk about Greenville. A team that we were, high on last year, had so much talent. They lost a lot of it, but they still bring a lot back. Receivers, Mazio Bennett, one of the best players in the state for the 2024 class. Receiver Tyler Brown going to Minnesota. The running back, I believe Pepper is back. They got an offensive lineman, Blake Franks, getting big offers there. Quarterback, though. You got to replace Pro Franklin. It may be Zach Picklesheimer, who transferred over from Daniel. Not really sure what they're going to do there. But if they can just, same story as Ridgeview, same story as a couple other schools talk about, Northwestern, same story as South Point. If they can find a guy who could play that position and just not turn it over, make the simple plays, they can win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, and the thing that worries me about Greenville, things went their way last year. And, we've seen Greenville, it just seemed like they've been snake bitten last few years, or they trip over themselves, or they just have a bad game at a bad time. Last year, they flipped that script, and they played really well when they had to. They had some things go their way. I'm not saying they got lucky, but they just didn't have bad luck like they had previously. But the thing that worries me about the Red Raiders is not only losing Pro Franklin, but, that offensive line, pass blocking left a lot to be desired.
Yep.
Franklin, he took a lot of hits, and he was Well, I can't say enough about that young man, how tough he was and how poised he was playing. That's going to be tough to replace. Now, if you can get that offensive line better, you can get them pass blocking a little bit better, we got a totally different story.
Yep.
Because like South Point, they got talent all over the field. You know, we're not worried about talent position, skill position, what they got on the outside. Pepper, awesome running back. If you guys don't know who this kid is, you're going to find out this year. He is electrifying. Get that offensive line. Let's work on that offensive line. Let's get them shored up, and they could have another special year too.
Yeah, I want to shift down here now to a couple schools. I think one was in the top 10. The other one didn't. Or actually, they're back-to-back here, 6 and 7. South Florence and West Florence. In that same region as Myrtle Beach. You know, South Florence, I think, maybe one of my favorite teams to watch this year with quarterback Lenore Sellers. Currently a Syracuse commit. Coming off an injury last year. Really, really big-time player. Can run it, can throw it. You know, this South Florence team, he went out probably mid-season last year. But before that, they were one of the favorites to win 4A. You know, remember, they took South Point to triple overtime on the road early in the year last year with Sellers back. He gets hurt. They have to play some young guys back there. They still made a very nice run in the playoffs. I think they won a game or two in the playoffs. I believe they did.
They actually they got matched up with Buford. So the way that region, how good that region was, South Florence was actually the 4 seed. They had to travel all the way down to Buford to play the eventual lower state champions. Lost a two-score game down in Buford. But hey, when you don't have your guy, and when your guy is really, really good, that makes things really tough. Against a team like Buford, I mean, that was a tough draw for them. As good of a team they had, good of a season they had. Without their quarterback, their best player, they got to go all the way down to Buford and play a really, really good defense.
Yeah. And then
that was tough for them.
Flip it over to West Florence. So we had Coach Jennerette on last week to kind of preview their season. Check that out. Check out that interview if you hadn't seen it yet. They lost their all-do-everything running back. Terry McKippin had a huge year. I think 30-plus touchdowns last year. But they bring back quarterback Deuce Hudson. Really, really good player. Dual threat there. They've got a really awesome linebacker, Kelvin Hunter, getting a lot of offers as well on the defensive side. And one thing that I kind of forgot about, but Coach Jennerette mentioned, and this is true for West and South Florence, you know, a big plus for them is that they finally had their own stadiums. You know, they played at Florence Memorial Stadium for years down there. All the schools did, Wilson, West, and South. Last year, they all got their own stadiums. They all got to kind of be on campus again. Super cool for them to be able to get, like, you know, a real home field advantage down there in Florence County.
Yeah, and they deserve it. They deserve it. You know, these two, West Florence has been good for, you know, they have some good years here and there, but they deserve it.
Yeah,
it's great for those kids, great for that school, great for Florence. You know, all those schools deserve their own stadium.
Yes,
especially Wilson. I know they got a great one.
Yeah,
they've really done a good job.
Then you look here at number 8. It gives us the 4th team out of that region with Myrtle Beach there. That's Hartsville. I'm gonna tell you right now, John. Hartsville may be my sleeper for 4A this year. I think they may make a very deep run. They got quarterback McKendry Douglas back and running back Jay Sean Anderson, one of our Super 75 players as well. Jay Sean is a heck of a player. He's a 3-star right now. Really good athlete there. Head coach Jeff Calabrese always has those guys playing ball. It's tough to play at Kellytown. Everybody knows that. Hartsville, I think, can make a deep run in the playoffs in 4A.
I think so too. They were kind of up and down last year. We wanted to believe in them, and then they lose a game. You know, they were just a little bit inconsistent last year. But exactly how you said, the talent is there. And a similar story here. They got bounced by Buford. I think it was in the lower state championship, or not. That was West Florence. But Hartsville actually got beat by West Florence. But great team, Red Foxes, and they can score. You know, that's the thing. They're gonna that offense. They're lethal. Hopefully they got that same kind of firepower, and I think they will. For sure.
Next team we have here, AC Flora. An interesting team here. I saw some comments earlier about those guys from Zach, and I'd heard that they had scrimmaged Clinton on Monday, I believe it was, and I think it did not go so well for AC Flora. So interesting to see whether they've got a really good skill guy. I know you're a big fan of Chris Lofton. I love their running back Markel Townsend. Got a big O-line. Similar thing to all these 4A teams. Got to find a quarterback. You know, 2 years ago, Ethan Beamish, when they won state, really had a good handle on that position, really threw it around well, spread the ball around. Last year we saw them play. Quarterback wasn't as good as what they had, and you know that really hurt them. We think in that Greenville game they did lose. He wasn't able to kind of make any big time plays there. So they've got to find a QB as well. But they'll be tough there. Even though they've got a new coach, Ken Floyd, taking over, a big time run game guy. So that helps out. Obviously having that big O line and Markel Townsend there at running back. you wonder if maybe they say, hey, we're not even going to throw it. We may throw it 10 times a game, at the most 7 times. We're just going to pound you guys up front, and that might be their best bet this year.
Yeah, you got to get the ball in Lofton's hands, though.
That's true.
You got to get him out in space because he's so dangerous. And even if you're just flipping the ball off and out into the flat, just give him a little bit of room. He's an electric type player. But you're right. We saw the Greenville playoff game last year.
Yeah.
And Greenville definitely had the better quarterback play. If you take away the quarterback play, I guess you could argue Greenville was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on the AC floor side of things, you could say, hey, we're just as talented as those guys.
Yeah.
And they're as talented as anybody.
Yeah.
In 4A. Got to figure out that quarterback position. And I think you're right. Keep it as simple as you can.
Yep.
But it's going to be really cool to see what Coach Floyd does because we're so used to what that Falcon team has looked like under the old regime. Really spreading it out, getting those playmakers in space. Might see a different AC4 team this year.
For sure. A couple more guys in the top 15 here. York, young quarterback, Aiden Davis is back. I believe he was a sophomore last year. We saw them play in the playoffs. They lost to Irmo round 1 last year. Coach Boyd does a great job over there always with his team, whether it's at Marlboro County or here or wherever now. And they've got a heck of a facility up there, John. They're going to be tough. I've heard some good things. They've got a big-time scrimmage Friday against Clinton. That'll be a fun one to kind of check out those guys. But don't know much about them besides the quarterback play, but they're always tough, and Coach Boyd does a great job there.
Yeah, they played pretty good defense last year. York they've kind of just come on the scene the last couple of years as well, playing some pretty good football lately. Again, I think they're going to be a little bit of a force in that region. They're not going to be an easy win for anybody.
Yeah, a couple more teams I want to mention here in the top 15 before we get into some more sleepers of me here. One is Lawrence. Quarterback James Raw is back again. I think he's a 3-year starter now. I think you saw them play a couple years ago, his sophomore year.
Yep.
He can really sling it. They lost the receiver. I think it was McGowan's and went to Vandy last year, graduated. But he's a really good quarterback there. Can really throw it around. Interesting to see what they've got around him, if they got any pieces. But he's good enough to get them to a playoff spot, especially with the way the new region's kind of aligned for those guys in Lawrence there. And the other team I wanted to mention is Westside. They lose quarterback Pete Zamora going to Marshall now. They've got a young guy. I think he's a freshman or a sophomore. Cutter Woods taking over at quarterback. Great name. Cutter Woods, great name. Definitely got to look out for there. But they always throw it around. They have some offense with Scott early there. You should see how good those guys are as well. But anybody else in the top 15 you want to mention, John, before I get into a couple of my sleepers or just teams that weren't listed, I think that maybe should have been?
Was May River in there?
They were not. May River was not.
May River's another team. They had a really good season last year. I'm not sure what they lost, what they have coming back for this year. But they were a very impressive team last year, and they were another team that got better as the season went. And they're in a region. So and I want to talk about this before we get into the sleepers. So that Region 7, 4A, it has not changed outside of losing Buford.
Lower state champ last year.
Going down to 3A. So let me read you off this Region 7.
Okay.
Tell me who you think's the favorite. We got Bluffton, Colleton County, Hilton Head, James Island, Lucy Beckman, I don't know.
Beckham. Lucy Beckham. Lucy Beckham.
All right, we'll make sure we get that right. And May River.
Yeah, I think May River.
I think so too.
I think so. Not Buford. Bluffton. They've got a good. I think it's a good linebacker they've got there. He's tough. And I'm telling you what, don't sleep on Lucy Beckham. This is their first year playing ball. I think they've got some guys there that might make some noise. I think they make the playoffs. Because I don't think very highly this year of Colleton County or who else did you mention? Hilton Head. Yeah, I don't know about those.
Yeah,
guys.
Hilton Head loses Sneed from last year.
Yeah, that's an interesting region there. Because we thought last year. We knew who Buford was. We thought, they're good. They lost the game. I think to May River early in the year. We kind of slipped in a little bit, but they found it at the right time for sure. So that's an interesting region to look at this year, no doubt. No doubt. A couple guys here that I think we've got to mention, John. That just you think of this team, John, and tell me when's the last time you saw this team not in the top 15. The North Augusta Yellow Jackets.
Oh, it's been a few years.
That's
at
like.
Least?
One of the bigger programs, I would say, in 4A, just like, historical preps. To not even be in the top 15 is a shock.
They were a second-round playoff team last year.
Yeah, head coach Matt Quinn coming over from Westwood. He's going to do a great job there. We interviewed him this offseason. He's a Burns graduate when Burns was big-time player. Played with all those guys there under Coach Bentley, won all the state championships. We've got a quarterback, Colson Brown, coming back, a really good player, can sling it all over the field. Running back, DJ Curry is back. They've got some guys, Charles Baskett, Jay Neeson up front on the O-line and D-line. They've got some really good players there, and I think that they're going to make some noise. I think they could certainly contend for that region crown. If not, I think they finish probably in second place there in that region they're in.
Yeah, I think so. Like they're going to be well coached.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come into games very prepared. And that's a region too. They got to be the best team in that region.
Yeah.
You got
South Aiken, maybe that's what I was going to mention. They had
South
a good run last year. Got bounced kind of in the playoffs. But I think they may have been undefeated or had one loss going into that. They've got a quarterback back, Terrence Smith. He was the region offensive player of the year last year, so he'll be back, kind of leading those guys. But that region I think comes down to those two. I do like the airport. I like Apollo's Cook there. The Duke commit coming over from River Bluff, and the new coach Andre Cook there. They've got some talent. I don't know if they're quite ready for that region title run yet. I think they're maybe more in the kind of playoff slot of the third spot team, something like that. But that'll be an interesting region down there in the Aiken area. I think it comes down to North Augusta, South Aiken, but you never really know over there.
Yeah, that would be the popular pick now. But hey, we still got to play the games. We'll see what happens when the ball's spotted.
Yeah, a couple more we haven't mentioned yet. Another team that you don't see out of the top 15 very often, Greer.
Yeah,
the Greer Yellow Jackets. They've had a couple down years. I will say that. They've got a running back now, a young kid, LaDanian Martin gets some offers. They've got a receiver. I believe it's Chase Bird. Obviously, Coach Will Young is back there. Tough place to play under the water tower. Quarterback again, man. You got to figure that out.
Quarterback. Last quarterback they had was Raheem Jeter,
and that was like his freshman year, so he wasn't what he is now.
And that's gonna be a different look region 2.
Mm-hmm.
Greenville and Greenwood move over to region 1, and then they get Riverside and Wade Hampton dropping down.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go to those two guys. You mentioned Riverside earlier. That's a team that should be in this top 15.
They should be in the top 10.
Yeah, with Rob Sanders, the quarterback, back, receiver Caden Crosby back, those guys are going to win a lot of ball games in 4A this year. And then Wade Hampton, I don't know if they're going to win a lot. They hadn't won in 24 games. I think they get at least one this year.
Let's at least get one.
24 games this year. I think they get one. Quarterback Cooper Tankersley, a pretty solid player there. I think they get at least one for sure. They got 9 guys back on offense.
Okay.
So that's got to be a good sign, right?
All
Got to be a good sign for the Generals there. Any other teams we have not mentioned? Let me see here.
Do you have what are your feelings on Irma? You hot, cold on the Yellow Jackets?
They lost a lot. They lost to Yari Rogers, the receiver. I think he went to Lenore Ryan. They lost to quarterback Isaiah Whiteside. I was a big fan of him. I like the coach there a lot. He came from that Tom Knotts Dutch Fork tree. Got them going the right direction. I don't think they win that region because they're still in there with Dutch Fork. No, they're in 4A now. You're right. 4A. Sorry. I don't know what to think about those guys.
They're in AC Floors region.
Yeah, that's right.
AC Floors region. The Ridgeview is coming.
Yeah, it was a three-way tie last year with those guys in Westwood as well. So that'll be an interesting team there. I do mention Westwood. You talked about those guys. We got a receiver, Noah Jennings, big-time player. Coach Robert O'Connell coming over from Ridgeview. The defense coordinator over there going to Westwood now. He knows how to coach these guys on defense. Westwood's got some ballers that can fly around. That's going to be a fun team, too, I think, to watch this year.
And I think that's a really good – and we talked about this in the Coaching Carousel show. I think that's a really good pairing.
It makes sense. Yeah, it really matches up well. It does. It does. And I've got 2 more teams, John. I'm just listening.
I got one more. Let's see if it's one of your 2.
Easley.
Okay. No.
Easley. 4 offensive linemen back, John.
All right.
And I think if you got that region there, I believe Easley has a decent shot to make some noise this year in that region, I feel like, the way they're kind of realigned.
Maybe.
Okay.
They've got, Greenville and Greenwood coming to that region now.
Okay.
Berea's also in that region, and Pickens and Westside.
So I think they could win. They could get 3rd place. I think they've got a good shot at that. Westside, they're replacing the quarterback, the young kid. We'll see how that goes. Pickens doesn't, Berea, we saw them last year, John. Not a great look for those guys there.
They're gonna have a really hard time.
I think easily with 4 offensive linemen back and 7 starters on defense back.
And they easily has not been good in a while.
No.
They just haven't.
No, they're due. They're due. That'll be a fun one. Then my last team here, a team back in that Aiken County region.
Okay.
Midland Valley.
Midland Valley. Love the Mustangs.
They've been not good lately.
No.
But they got a heck of a pickup this offseason.
Yes, they did.
Running back Trayvon Dunbar from Silver Bluff, one of the premier players in the state last year as a sophomore, helped carry those guys to the state title.
Carry some other guys on the field, too.
Yeah, heck of a player. He goes over to Midland Valley. Interesting to see what he can bring to that program. He's experienced winning with the Bulldogs last year. We'll be interested to see how much of a leader he can be for those guys. He's picking up offers from everybody. Ole Miss, he's a 4-star now, whatever it is. So that'll be fun to see if they could get anything going down there, the Mustangs.
Yeah, that's a huge pickup for them, or a huge get for them. However, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
But the only other team I want to talk about or mention here is Catawba Ridge. That was a team that we had really high hopes for going into last season. Stubbed their toe a little bit in year 2 of the program, but I expect them to come back again this year and be really good. The only problem is they got to deal with a very tough region. South Point, Northwestern, York, Lancaster, Indiana. But I think Catawba Ridge, they're another team. There's nobody in the state that is going to want to play those guys.
No, the only other thing too is that quarterback. You remember, left and went to North Carolina. Jaden Davis, I believe, right? Yes.
Okay,
yes. He transferred to North Carolina, so they got to fix that spot. But they've been a good team the past few years, so they've got some talent there for sure, pulling out of that kind of Rock Hill area. They've done a good job there, so that will be an interesting team to watch. I mean, that whole region is going to be fun. I think Indiana made some noise last year. Lancaster, they've been hot or cold the last few years. Like they haven't made a big run, but they've made the playoffs, it seems like. So that'll be a fun one to follow for sure. I think that's all I got on 4A. Let's hear anything else, Sean.
I tell you what, I'm really excited about. There's some high power regions.
There is.
In 4A, and what's so great, I felt like last year we talked so much about during the season. We talked about how good a lot of these upper state regions were, and I felt like I don't think we neglected the lower state,
right?
But we just felt like the strength was in the upper state. And then when we got to Columbia for the Weekend of Champions,
kind of proved out to be the case.
Looking at these regions, the lower state's really good this year.
Yeah.
I think the lower state's got a lot going on. Not that the upper state's going to be bad, but I'm excited about it, especially in the Midlands. I think the Midlands 4A teams, there's a lot to talk about there, a lot to be excited about there.
Yep. Quick comments here. Jarrell, our partner, says thoroughbreds are his 4A sleepers. He likes he's high on South Aiken this year. That's I like that. We got Jay Lawner saying hola, what's going on, Jay? Patterson here saying hello. Bradley saying hello, what's going on, Bradley? Already read Zach's comment about AC Flora. They also Clinton plays Lawrence early in the year. That'll be a fun game there. Anything else we can read here? South Aiken also plays Clinton early in the season as well, so that'll be another fun one to check out there. So if you guys are just now tuning in, we appreciate you guys. We just got done with 4, about to go into 5A here. Do want to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors. Not going to do the full reads. We've got a lot of guys this year. We got 2 whole pages. We've got the Georgia Agency, Security Advantage Federal Credit Union, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, and Founders Federal Credit Union. So lots of good stuff coming down the pipe for you guys there to help us. We'll do things like our new website and whatnot. So that's why it's important to have those sponsors in there. So if you guys want to sponsor us, we're welcome to have you. Love to have you. So definitely hit us up about that. If this is your first time tuning in, once again, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. We do this every Tuesday night, do a preview show. Check out our new website, movingchains.com. Get in there, do the message board and stuff like that. And, John, just to recap right quick the week, we've had a very busy week. Tuesday we did the 1, 2, and 3A preview show. Last night we dropped the Grayson Loftus interview. Tonight we're doing the 4A and 5A preview show. Next week we've got the week 0 preview show going in. So a lot of really good stuff. So you guys need to definitely keep checking us out and keep following us. But, John, any other comments here before we get going into talking some 5A football for this season?
Let's get your wild prediction for the 4A champion.
4A upper state?
Overall? At all?
Oh my gosh! I mean, I'm telling you, my sleeper is Hartsville, man. Sleeper Hartsville. Okay. Favorite, I'm gonna go with. I think the best team might be South Lawrence. I'm going with 2 teams out of that region. South Lawrence and Hartsville. That's what I'm taking. Let's make deep runs.
They're going to beat Northwestern, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have a quarterback yet.
All right. I'm taking the Trojans. I'm going Northwestern.
Okay, I like that. Drop it down. I like that call there. I think that's a good pick for sure. For sure. But okay, let's look into 4A here. What everybody wants to hear about, John. 5A. You're right. Sorry, I'm doing too much here. Trying to share it and do everything else. A lot going on. But let's look at 5A. Same thing we're going to do. We're going to read through the high school sports top 15 poll here. Give our thoughts. Go through teams that we like as well. Another cool thing we got coming this year, John mentioned the other night, we got our own poll coming out starting this year.
That's right.
We're going to wait until after week 1 when everybody's played so we don't have a bunch of crap like some of the other ones do. We're not going to have teams in their own classification. I guarantee you that. Not going to have a bunch of that crap going on. So definitely check us out for that. But the high school sports report top 15, John. Number 15, Carolina Forest.
Okay.
Number 14, Somerville. Number 13, Cane Bay, the Cobras down there. Number 12, Spring Valley. Number 11, Goose Creek. Number 10, Clover. Number 9, TL Hanna. Number 8, Dorman. Number 7, Burns. Number 6, Hillcrest. No, excuse me. Number 7, Burns. Number 6, Sumter. Number 5, Hillcrest. Number 4, Spartanburg. Number 3, Fort Dorchester. Number 2, Dutch Fork. Number 1, Gaffney. John, do you want to go talk 15 down to 1, start 1 down to 15? How do you want to do this time?
Let's do 15.
15. Carolina Forest, a team that we were high on the last couple of years. Mason Garcia at quarterback. He graduated. He's at ECU now. Last year they had Scott Saylor, Luke Janik. And that team was just, COVID was a big time problem, 2 years ago. Not as big last year, but still a problem. It was a big problem for Carolina Forest.
Very much.
They had so many games late in the year where they didn't have to cancel the games. But they had to play a bunch of young kids. Both the quarterback, Saylor, and the running back, Janik, were out for the last 3 or 4 games due to COVID. They were struggling to find somebody there. But Scott Saylor's back at quarterback this year. That's a big plus. He can really throw it around there. They've got a pretty good running back. Let me find my notes on Carolina Forest here. Running back Johnson is there. They got a bunch of young guys that got to play last year with the COVID issues. That's a good thing.
And that will help. That will help going into this year.
That's a good thing. But yeah, when Coach Morrison had those guys turned around, I think Scott Saylor could make some big noise. He'll be a name that I think you guys will know as the season gets going.
Yeah, just Carolina Forest's team. They probably caught as much bad luck as anybody last year. They're a much better program. If you just look at what they did last year, throw it out.
Yeah.
They're a lot better program than that. I expect them to bounce back and be last few years they've been a perennial. They're the team that Dutch Fork has to be
making deep runs.
Yeah,
exactly right.
They've been right there last few years. I don't know if they're going to be that good, but I definitely think they're going to be in that maybe a borderline top 10 team, maybe even in the top 10.
Yeah, we'll find out a lot about these Horry County teams tomorrow night in the Conway National Bank little kickoff jamboree they do. I think everybody from Horry County's playing, so it'll be fun to see Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle and all those guys get going.
Hey, it'd be great weather to go out there and see them, too.
For sure.
You're out in the PD region.
For sure. 14, we got Somerville, a team that Drellin actually saw play last year at Gaffney. No offense to Somerville. They were not impressive last year. But they were kind of young. They've got some good experience this year. They got a senior-laden team. I don't know if they're poised for a deep run. I don't think, but they can make the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about where Somerville is right now. They're a playoff team. Yep. I don't know if they're a second-round team or not. They got to prove that first.
Yep, agreed. Cane Bay, a team I don't know a ton about. They've got a pretty good linebacker down there. It's good for them. They won, I think, 9 games last year.
Yeah, they were a second-round team. They got booted by Dutch Fork there in the second round. But, solid team. They played Ashley Ridge first round of playoffs, knocked off a pretty good Ashley Ridge team. I think Cane Bay, again, I think that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about right. I think there might be probably not quite a top 10 team,
yep.
But, they're good enough to be talked about.
For sure.
Good enough to be in the conversation.
12, we've got Spring Valley. You got to love what Coach Bacon does there. Really good football coach down there. One of their players, Evan James, an athlete, a really good athlete down there. They lost DQ Smith, the quarterback who's going to play. I think his safety at South Carolina now. He's on that team there. A lot to replace. Interesting to see how far they can go this year, John, because they're kind of in that tough Midlands region there in 5A for sure.
Yeah, I thought they had a really good season last year. I thought they had a really good team. Losing Smith, definitely that's a big blow for them. But Spring Valley always has a little bit of talent. Mm-hmm. They can fill some holes. But yeah, it'll be a fun team to watch. And that region with Spring Valley, trying to find them here, it's a little bit of a new look for them. They're going to face some teams that they're not typically facing in region play. And we'll get to that here in a second.
Number 11, Goose Creek. Good quarterback Drew Moore on our Super 75 as well, John. And one thing, when I was doing some research today, I learned about Goose Creek. I didn't realize they've won 3 straight region titles. Do you know that?
I don't know that.
I don't know.
I'm not surprised.
I didn't know they won the region title last year.
I'm not surprised.
So good for those guys. Now they lost running back Demetrius Simmons, who was just a speedster, game breaker there. But the quarterback Moore is back. He's a good player. I think they win 4 in a row.
I think the region's not that good.
No, it's not. That's the problem.
It's not that good.
Yeah,
it's the same region this year. And we keep saying that, and for those of you out there that hasn't clicked with, when we say same regions, so every 2 years the South Carolina High School League realigns.
Mm-hmm.
I think we touched on it Tuesday, but
Yep.
we didn't watch Tuesday. So every 2 years, they look at the enrollment of every public school in the state, and then they do their best to realign based on enrollment. So obviously your biggest schools are 5A, and you go down 4A and 8. And then based on who those schools are, that's how they structure the region. And every 2 years, you have some region shakeups, which I think is great. It's great to have kids and fans to get to play a little bit of different schools, every couple of years.
Yeah, next team there, Clover. Don't know a ton about them. They had an odd season last year. Like at the beginning of the year, they won a couple big. I think they may have beaten. They beat Dorman early in the year, something like that.
It may be Dorman or Spartanburg.
It was weird because they had a very good defense early in the year.
Yeah.
And then kind of late in the year, they had a little more of an offense. It just kind of flipped where they couldn't put it all together. Coach Lane's still there, does a good job. The Michigan squad, I don't see them making a deep run this year either, John.
No, and they may be about right. Maybe not. I think they're a top 15 right team. But we'll see. Cause it's hard to predict because last year they, I'm not real sure what their identity was.
Yep. Yep. These next two are teams you usually don't see quite this slow. Number 9, TL Hannah. Number 8, Dorman. I got a stat for you here on TL Hannah, John. Something that's not going to make you feel good about their prospects this year. So TL Hannah lost 41 seniors. 41 seniors, John.
How many people are on the team?
Yeah, 41 seniors. There's not many 3A teams that have many people on the team, I don't feel like.
Man.
41 seniors, but the quarterback, Kenny Fretwell, is back. Running back, where's the running back? Burton will be back. Kind of run that double wing offense. They're always a tough out because of the way you don't see a ton of that at that higher level. Coach Tone does a good job there. That's a team, though, that last year kind of got exposed.
They did.
We saw them play Hillcrest for the region title over there at Chandler Stadium. Hillcrest beat the brakes off those guys.
Yeah. They, the thing about Hannah is when you're good and when you're probably the better team on the field, that option offense works really well because you can take some air out of the ball and really shorten up that game. But when you run into a team like Bennett Judy and Hillcrest and they're throwing the ball all over the field and lighting up the scoreboard,
can't keep up.
then you get into what do we do now?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a little bit of a domino effect, or maybe not domino effect, but it adds pressure to you. We talked about that with Daniel on Tuesday, how much pressure they put on the other teams. That's the kind of team, the way they handle plays offense, can really put pressure on themselves if they get down in the game. So I'm sure they got a great coaching staff there. They know what they're doing. That doesn't happen to Hannah often.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Rarely. So we'll see how that team looks this year. They've had a lot of talent last few years, and it seems like it's just kind of dwindling.
It's all gone now. It's all graduated.
Yeah, it's
all
they're playing on Saturdays now.
That's right. So Dorman, new head coach Dustin Curtis. Dave Gutshaw finally retired. Coach Curtis comes up from AC4. He won the state title down there 2 years ago. Really good ball coach there. We talked to him this summer. Check out that interview as well on our page. I think the league kid's going to play quarterback for them. They've got a lot of talent around him. Running back Demarius Foster, one of the best around, best in the state. Receiver, DJ Porter, a big-time player. Huge offensive line. Obviously anchored by Marquis Anderson and DJ Geff, two D1 guys there. The defense should be pretty solid as well. That's going to be a fun team to see what Coach Curtis can do there, because that's a team that you feel like last year, I think they may have lost round 1 of the playoffs.
They lost to Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah round 1. They've had some talent, and they feel like they haven't quite gotten over the hump. Coach Gutshaw was a heck of a coach, but he caught a lot of flack over years for only winning a couple state titles there, doing with as much talent as they had. Interesting to see what Coach Curtis can do with that talent now, see if he can maybe turn them into the next perennial power here in the upstate. They are a perennial power, but just maybe take even that next step from where they were.
And this is another pairing that I think is great. Coach Curtis and Dorman. And this team specifically having such a good offensive line.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of equity to play with here. And I think Coach Curtis can kind of do a lot of the same things that he did at AC4.
Yep.
Spread out a little bit, throw the ball around the field, maybe give the Dorman Cavaliers a little bit of a different look maybe than what their opponents are typically seeing at them. I think that's a great pairing with them. I'm excited to see what Coach Curtis can do with that group, because he's got talent.
Yeah,
They've got
no doubt about it.
They got a lot to work with, and that offensive line. That's such a lot.
Tough. That's tough.
to have the strength there.
Number 7, Burns. I'll tell you, John, I like this team, but I think 7 might be too high.
I think so too.
You know, they bring back the Cook guys, Kai Cook and Kanai Cook, running back, receiver, kind of there. I believe Mac Long is back. I'm not sure if he's fully healthy. I know he had an injury last year. They did get a big transfer from Dorman, Shamarius Bomar, who played some quarterback for Dorman last year as a freshman. He's been playing kind of receiver and DB this year for Burns from what I saw in 7-on-7s. Don't know if he'll get any time at quarterback or not. They've got a guy, left-handed kid, Colby Shaw, playing the 7-on-7s. And I tell you what, they were very good at 7-on-7s. They won, I think, the one at Carolina. They won Justin Bethel's. They won their own Palmetto State Showdown at Burns. They won a lot of those, but you worry, you know, obviously the O-line, D-line's on the field there. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you know, we saw the Rebels last year, and the offense, there was
fine.
nothing wrong.
Offense was great.
The offense
Yeah.
was very good. The defense, and specifically the secondary,
Yeah.
was something that they've got to improve, and they got to get a little bit better with this year.
Yeah, they do have a big-time linebacker / DN, Mikael Dingle, going to Texas Tech. We saw him drill, and I went to the 7-on-7 over there last year. He made a heck of an interception to win the whole thing. Big-time athlete there to watch that defense. But, yeah, they got to improve that secondary. And I said maybe that's why they're playing Bomar back there a little bit more. Kind of hopefully he can kind of shore up that cornerback or safety spot for those guys.
And early on, I believe week 0, they will play Brooklyn Casey, who we talked a lot about.
Yep.
I talked a lot about on Tuesday. I'm high on the Bearcats. They're going to get tested right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. It doesn't matter that Brooklyn Casey is 3A.
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very good. It's going to be a good test. Well, it's going to be a good test for both of those teams.
Yes. Number 6 here, team I don't know a ton about again, Sumter. Head coach Mark Barnes, really good coach there. People think he's going to be the head coach at one of these big schools up here when the next guy retires. We read into that as you will. But he's back down there again. They've got a really good athlete, Zaire Gamble. I believe he's been at App State.
Okay.
They've got obviously the D lineman Montague Rames just committed to South Carolina a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
They've always got big D linemen, it sounds like, but the offense does scare me a little bit for those for the Gamecocks this year.
Yeah, and they're tough. You know, they're down that reach on Carolina Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are. I think that's about right for them.
Yeah.
And you know, they didn't have quite the season last year as I was hoping they would have, but they dealt with some injuries.
They did.
They had, as good as that defensive line is, they had some injuries on that defensive line. That was pretty detrimental for them. I think they're going to be a really good team. I think that's right where they ought to be. I think they're back after that top 10.
Yeah. Number 5 here, the Hillcrest Rams, John. What are your thoughts on those guys this year?
They're going to be really good.
They are. They are.
They were really good last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact we talk about these teams, hey, they were good, but they lost a lot. Hillcrest has about everybody coming back.
Yeah.
And they were a team very impressed with the coaching at Hillcrest.
Coach Fred did a great job there.
We were lucky to see them at the beginning of the year and then at the end of the year. We saw that first game they played Greenwood, and Greenwood just kind of outmuscled. You know, we saw a lot of penalties for Hillcrest, and then at the end of the year, we saw them play Hannah. And
almost a perfect ball game.
that looked like a totally different team.
Yeah.
It was a very smooth team. They played very clean. They played together. They played well. They played smart. And they were very aggressive. And you could tell they were very confident.
Yeah.
And confidence and momentum, that's a huge thing with young kids. Well, everybody, but especially young kids, high school kids. If they can get that, if they can start the season off well and pick up where they were last year, they are going to be very, very dangerous.
And speaking of confidence, I mean, we talked to Bennett Judy a couple weeks ago. Check out that interview as well, guys, on our page. He mentioned they played in 5 7-on-7s. They won the championship game in all 5 of those this summer, John, all across summer camps and things like that. So they've got had a lot of winning experience this summer for sure, and they do bring a lot back. Quarterback Bennett Judy was the Region Player of the Year last year, also the All-State quarterback in 5A. They get running back Logan Coldren back, one of our favorite players that we don't think gets talked about enough across the state.
I agree.
Receivers Adrian McFadden, Jalen McNeil, both very explosive guys. You catch them on a hitch, they can take it to the house right away. But, Avery's a big return man too. A little bit of cause for concern though, John. Only one offensive lineman coming back this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a unit. It's, especially it takes some time to gel. Interesting to see how that comes together for those guys. The defense last year was young. They lost a couple guys. They've got a lot of guys back. I like the back end with Kendall Chapman and B.J. Jones, Jeb Robinson up front, and a guy to watch out for, John, a guy, Isaiah Lee, didn't play at all last year. Come back from an injury at linebacker.
Okay.
He'll be fun to have there. So that'll be a fun team to watch, and they can make some some really, really big noise here in 5A this year, I think.
And they're going to be one of the most experienced good teams in Upper State. They're going to contend for that Upper State championship.
Another team with experience here at number 4, Spartanburg, the Vikings.
Yes.
They bring back quarterback Raheem Jeter, a big-time recruit. Actually just decommitted from West Virginia a couple weeks ago. Recruitment back open for Raheem. He had the unfortunate incident this summer. If you guys haven't read about it in the paper or read about it online, go check that out. He I don't know what to say about that, John. Had a bad accident. They say he's back healthy again. He's ready to go. Running back Dreek Carter, super electric player. Had a little bit of injury problems last year. When he came back and played, he was really good. The receivers, Danton, and where's the other guy's name? Danton is back. I'll find it in a minute. But on defense, they've got guys like Cam Jackson, another big-time commit there. He's there on defense along with Little John and Madison for those guys. Danton and Moore, that's the receivers there. So they've got some talent. They made it to the lower or upper state final last year. Lost to Gaffney. Gaffney put it on them late in the game. Yeah. Really kind of blew them out there late. But Spartanburg is going to be fun to watch. And we've already mentioned a couple of these teams from that region, but we'll get into it. But they're back in that Murderers Row region again this year.
Yeah, you get Gaffney comes back into Region 2. That's going to make things tough. Mm-hmm. Anybody's got to step across the Gaffney Indians. You got a tough task on your hands. But what I'm really impressed with Spartanburg, it was second year. Was it second year?
That was last year was Coach Hodges' first year. This is the second year right
so
here.
We're going into year 2 for Coach Hodges. He did a great job. They improved greatly in year 1 with Coach Hodges. I think we see them progress a little bit more this year. I don't know if they're number 4. Was that right? 4?
Yep.
I don't know if they're number 4 in the state or not. But I think they're going to play in it. When they play Gaffney in that region game, between them, Gaffney, Burns, and Dorman. Yeah. Dorman too. I mean, that's going to be a really fun region. Obviously.
And don't forget Bowling Springs, new head coach Matt Reel too.
Yeah. Like what he's going to bring Bowling Springs. You got to have Gaffney as the favorite
for sure,
of course. But Spartanburg's got a lot to look forward to. They have got a lot to look forward to this year. I'm excited about seeing the Vikings and how much they can improve upon what they did last year.
Number 3, Fort Dorchester. One of my favorite players in the state, Zoltan Osborne, back at quarterback. This kid can sling it. He can run it. Heck of a player. The running back Reynolds is back. The linebacker Michael Smalls is back. Coach LaPrade does a great job there. We're going to find out a lot about these guys. They play a very tough schedule. They got a school out of Georgia coming to play them on a Saturday. They're playing in the Cam Newton Classic on a Saturday, Labor Day weekend. And they're also coming up to the reservation to play Gaffney early in the season as well. So we'll find out a lot about Fort Dorchester early in the year. But that's a team that's got to be a favorite to make a run in lower state. Yeah,
I think so. And I love what they're doing with their schedule because you look at their region. Their region doesn't give them a ton of competition for as good as they are. And really in lower state, I mean, it's Goose Creek and Sumter, or the other teams out there,
Forest gets hot,
are kind of on Fort Dorchester's level. So I think it's great to play Gaffney, whether you win or lose that game.
Yeah, it gets you ready for the playoffs either way.
The experience of playing, we have to say it, the best team in the state.
Yeah,
but they are kings to play the standard and to play at the reservation too. Hats off to those guys for signing up for that game. Hats off to Gaffney for inviting them up there. That's great to get them ready because their eyes are on Columbia Weekend of Champions, and what happens to you in that Gaffney game that will tell you.
Yep.
Hey, what do we need to work on? Yeah. What do we need to work on, and how much better do we need to get? Because Gaffney will certainly tell you.
Yeah, number 2, Dutch Fork. The lower state champ last year lost to Gaffney in a thriller for the 5A state title there. Lost to quarterback Davin Patterson, but they do have quarterback Liam Appler back. A kid who's getting a lot of college offers. Had played some last year with those guys. One of the better players in the state. Maybe the favorite for Mr. Football, John, running back Jarvis Green, also back for those guys. And on defense, 2 really good players, Chandler Perry at linebacker, Landon Danley at safety. They've always got talent. We know they will. Just, if Appler is the real deal, they're going to be tough to beat.
And I think Appler, we don't know until he gets on the field. Until you get into a real-time game situation, and really, for Dutch Fork, a fourth quarter game.
Yeah.
To decide, hey, how good is he really? But I think he's got the potential, from what I've heard, folks that are closer to the program than myself, that he could be better end up being a better quarterback than what Dutch Forks had.
Yeah, and they do need a receiver or two to step up. You know, they lost Antonio Williams, obviously, at Clemson. They lost the other guy, I can't remember where he went, to a smaller school. But they need a guy to step up outside for them. But, you know, they've got to have some kind of freak athlete out there at some point. So
yeah.
They'll find somebody.
The big thing for Dutch Fork is, can they play the full season?
Yeah.
We heard Coach Knotts talk about it in an interview not long ago about how just the way that their scheduling works, they kind of bounce around non-region, playing all over the place, and it's training. It takes a lot out of you with, you know, traveling. We all know that. I mean, heck, you take a 3-hour car ride and you get out and you're like, kind of tired.
Yeah.
You know, imagine doing that and then playing a football game and doing that every week for the first few weeks. And then when you get down and you're playing the Fort Dorchesters and Gaffneys of the world, you know, it's just gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. So it's to be interesting to see how they're able to maintain their depth and health as they progress through the season and the playoffs.
Yeah, and then number one, defending 5A state champions, the Gaffney Indians, John. I know a lot of fans in here, Patrick and Chris, those guys, for sure, Chris, you guys tuning in. They're going to be tough again, John. You know, we just had an interview you dropped last night with quarterback Grayson Law, just a Duke commitment. And that guy's impressive. You know, he's got all the size, all the talent. He speaks well. He's a heck of a player. He's back. Receivers, Deshaun Corey, Mason Littlejohn, Shug Jeffries are all back. Offensive line is big. And I was telling you about this guy yesterday, John. They've got a left tackle, a sophomore left tackle. Guy's a freak. Huge. You guys picture this kid. This kid looks amazing. Defense have got guys like Nathan Johnson, who just committed to App State last week at DN/linebacker.
Nice.
Brayshawn Littlejohn committing Saturday, actually. He's got a lot of big offers, big D1 offers there. Another just freak of an athlete there, the linebacker spot. So much talent all across the field. I know that they're going to work hard to kind of replace those two running backs, Tyler Smith and Ken Littlejohn. Those two guys are really, you know, kind of what carried the team last year. You know, obviously Grayson was there too, but those guys were just workhorses up front. So it'll be fun to see how that goes at the running back spot. I know I was talking to Patrick, got a new guy coming in there, see how that goes there for that. But, yeah, it's going to be tough, man. And we talk about scheduling. They play one of the toughest in the state, if not the toughest. They open
Absolutely.
up. We mentioned open up with South Point, 4A state champions here week 0. They play Northwestern later on in the year. They play Fort Dorchester later on in the year. Tough schedule for those guys. They play Hammond out of the Skeeza, you know, who's got multiple state championships. They're not scared to play anybody, and they're going to be ready to play that tough region schedule. On top of that, they'll certainly be well-seasoned and well-tested for the playoffs come around.
And that's nothing new for them. They do that every year. Yeah, last year they played, you know, arguably one of the best teams in the state in Gray.
Yeah, played Gray, played Somerville.
Yeah. Replay.
They played Mallard Creek last year. Yep.
Yeah, you know, they'll play anybody anywhere, and it shows when you get to the playoffs, and you know, you have close games. I think the big thing for Gaffney for this year, my big, not question mark, just can they do it again, is their special teams.
Yeah.
And their ability to get the ball on defense.
When they got to have it.
Because there were so many games, especially in that Northwestern game comes to mind. Obviously, the Dutch Fork game, the state championship game, where there was one or two plays that they made either, you know, goal line stand.
Dorman game as well. Had a big pick late,
You know, big special teams player or pick, you know, they that goal line stand against Northwestern. I think that maybe they picked the ball off or they got a fumble.
Something like that,
It was either in overtime or at the end of regulation. You know, they made, when they needed a big play or they needed, not necessarily needed it, but just made a big play and shifted momentum and you know, really, that's how you win games. You know, those kind of games, those big close games, and coaches talk about, hey, sometimes it's just one play.
Yep.
And they were making the one play when they needed to every time. Can they do that again? Well, they got the talent to do it.
Yes.
You know,
Drill mentions it here. Landon Bullock was a game changer. Exactly right. That kid at middle linebacker, or just a linebacker spot, was making plays, you know, forced fumbles, picking games off, whatever it was. You know, he was always there making big time plays, John. But that's the top 15 there. Any teams you want to mention that didn't maybe make that top 15 or that you want to make comment? I've got a couple here. One of them I'm interested to see. You know, I don't know if they'll be, you know, I don't think they're contenders to make a deep run, but that's Malden. You know, a team that had a ton of athletes the last couple of years. They lost Jaden Lucas and Deuce Caldwell going to Clemson and North Carolina, respectively. Got some talent back, running back Fred Pearson, DB Aaron Bowens, you know, Coach Naismith in his second year there. Interested to see if they can put together something kind of in that new look region that they're in as well and kind of make some make some noise there in 5A in that Region 1.
And the other team that I'm a little bit interested in that we haven't talked about and haven't really seen much about is Lexington.
Yeah, Coach Woolbright down there, those guys.
When we talk about Region 4, it's all about Dutch Fork. But Lexington had a pretty good season last year. A kind of quiet season.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a really good run to the playoffs. Lost to the Lower State semifinals to Fort Dorchester. But they're a good team. I'm not saying they're going to beat Dutch Fork, but they're a good team, and I think I don't want to not talk about them just because they're in Dutch Fork's region. Right. That region off is the Silver Foxes. They're a good team, though. They're really. I think they're going to be a good team. I don't know. Again, I know I've said this a lot. I don't know exactly what they have coming back versus what they lost, but I think they're going to be a team to watch for at least.
Yeah.
A little bit of a sleeper, I think, in my opinion.
I got a couple more I'll kind of speed round through here. JL Mann, head coach Scoot Watson's doing a good job there. Receiver Toby Cates, and they got the quarterback back. I think the quarterback played maybe like one play it was last year before he tore his ACL. He's back. They'll be better. We saw him in the 7-on-7. He looked pretty solid. They look solid this year. Conway, a team that has had a proud past. You think back about Eric Huggins and George Goss and Andre Goss and Rasheed Goss and Alan Patrick went to Oklahoma. Really storied past there. Hadn't been great the last couple of years. They've got 6 starters back on offense, 7 on defense, including their quarterback and running back, John.
Very nice.
They can make some noise down there in that beach region, kind of in 5A there. Another team I have circled or a note on here is Nation Ford. Carson Black, that quarterback. Really good quarterback there. He could, kind of getting out of that Gaffney region is a good thing for Nation Ford, I feel like. That'll help them out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can see what he does. River Bluff, Cooper Johns, big-time running back. He's on a Super 75. Cooper Johns, a guy to watch there. I think that's the last team I had a note on we didn't mention. I did want to circle back to Sumter right quick, but I saw that Jay Law came back and said he missed it for a phone call. Yeah, we like Coach Barnes, like Zaire Gamble, like the Ramskill defense. Worry a little bit about the offense. I have to take a scoring up, but they should be 1-2 probably in that region down there in 5A.
Yeah, you gotta think so. Hey, you mentioned Nation 4. I want to touch on that Region 3 has shaken up a little bit.
Yep.
Spring Valley, I think they're the favorite in that region, but let me read you this Region 3. So this, again, a little bit of a new look region here.
Yep.
Big region. You got Blythewood, Clover, Fort Mill, Nation Ford, Rock Hill, and Spring Valley. A little bit of a Spring Valley and Blythewood getting mixed up with the kind of Rock Hill, York County guys.
Another team we hadn't mentioned, I haven't heard a bunch about them, but they may be good this year. I heard from somebody they had looked really good in scrimmages and 7-on-7s. I haven't seen them play. Coach Seidel does a good job there. You can see what Blackwood has. They haven't been good in the last couple of years. It'd be nice to have them back in the game.
And they're another team that another school that typically has a good bit of talent. We haven't seen a ton of talent come out of Blackwood. But, also the thing about Blackwood that's hurt them a little bit is that area, gosh, there's a new school popping up every couple of years over in Blackwood. Westwood comes to mind.
All the woods, yep.
Yeah, I was going to say River Bluff, that's more Lexington.
Yeah.
But, that's hurt them a little bit.
Couple comments here. Stephen Patrick said the running back for Spartanburg named Kiki is going to be great. Patrick said that we need to come to the Gaffney Fort D game. Ooh. It is tentatively circled, Patrick. We'll put it that way. Tentatively circled. Lakeland Sports guys with Chris and Tom say Bowling Springs, their sleeper.
Okay.
Matt Reel from North Myrtle Beach takes over as the head coach. Talent was underused in the past. Will only get better. Matt Reel's a really good coach. He took North Myrtle Beach to the state title 2 years ago. They won the thing, did they not? No, they lost to AC4. Sorry, lost to AC4 in the state title. Or did they who beat Greer a couple years ago? Was that North Myrtle Beach as well?
That may have been North Myrtle.
Anyway, does a great job down there. Matt Reel has. And Bowling Springs has had a couple of good seasons. We talked about they made a state championship run 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. Have not been good the last few years. And coach, I think it was time for him to kind of retire. They needed a change. I think they got it there. Shed Surratt is the Gaffney left tackle from Patrick, he says. I mentioned Jarrell's comment about Landon Bullock. Patrick says, Gaffney had 2 picks in the Greenville scrimmage that would have been ran back. They're already figuring it out. They're already figuring it out.
Doing it in scrimmages.
Jay Law says River Bluff has some tough boys. And then Stephen Patrick says Rock Hill needs to get back to the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Rock Hill has been a dumpster fire, Stephen. I don't know why. They've had some talent, too. They had the kid a couple years ago, the tight end, went to Bama, right?
Yeah, Robbie Oots.
They couldn't do anything with that. They lost. Didn't they lose like 10 or 12 or 14 games in a row.
It was
It was not a good run.
It was double digits.
I would like to see the Bearcats be good. That would be, great to watch over there in D3 Stadium.
And Jay's right about River Bluff. We hadn't talked about River Bluff. River Bluff is they're a good group.
Yeah,
They're another one. They get lost in the whole Dutch Fork wash.
Yeah, it hurts them losing Andre Cook to go coach at Airport because then his son Apollos goes with him to Airport, of course. So that was a tough loss there. But Cooper Johns, the running back, is a really good player. We like him a lot. They're interesting to see what they can do this year, kind of in that Midlands 5A region for sure. I think that's all I've got to comment on. Anybody we missed that we need to mention? You think out of the 5A classification?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it all. Spoken about everyone that I think we really need to touch on here. I know we haven't said a whole lot about the lower state, but we need some more from the lower state.
I think Fort D is going to be there.
Sumter, I think, is going to be there.
Could be there. Goose Creek, maybe. Like I said, they've won a lot recently. We'll see what they do. But it would be nice for them to make a big run down there and to kind of get into that. Maybe it's Carolina Park. Maybe they bounce back. Whatever it is, maybe it's somebody. But that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But appreciate you guys tuning in. If this is your first time, like I mentioned, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Movin' Chains. Check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify. We do weekly preview shows on Tuesday nights here on Facebook Live. We put them out on the podcast afterwards. We do a weekly recap show on Sunday. Put that on the podcast there. We're going to have interviews coming out for you guys. Also, check out our new website, movingchains.com. A lot of great stuff on there. John, I'm pumped to get our pick'em going again next week.
I got to do better this year.
We're going to try to drop that pick'em, the games on Monday. You guys get into that and, fill out your picks. We got a prize for the winner at the end of the year. May have a few more prizes if we can secure some more sponsors. We're working on that. So definitely check that out. We've got some new cool things coming, like Players of the Week. We've got Teams of the Week, of course, coming back, John. We've got our road trip stuff. We've got Friday night spaces. That's going to be fun. We mentioned this the other night.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Friday nights on Twitter after the games are gone. Check in. Talk to us about the game you're at. Basically, you'll be able to hear us chat live about the game we were at. You'll be able to hear coaches talk about the games they coached in. It's basically a radio show, but it's on Twitter. So definitely get over on Twitter. Check us out on Friday nights for our Friday Night Lights, kind of wrap up the Spaces show. That'll be super cool to have you guys check that out as well. Got our poll coming after week 1. That'll be fun to follow. And I want to give a quick shout out to all you guys for who shared and commented and liked our Super 75 Mr. Football watch list. That has gone over way better than we ever could have expected.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of views. It's been awesome. Appreciate you guys doing that. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on our page. It's got a lot of really good guys on there. We've also got our new message board on our Facebook or on our website. You can get on there and comment, say who we left off, who your favorites are, or whatnot. Definitely be cool to hear from you guys on that stuff. Comment from Stephen Patrick. Are you guys going to Turf Kings? Looking at going to Gaffney South Point. Still working on that for next Saturday. We may be up there at Gaffney South Point for sure. That'll be a heck of a ball game if we do make it there. John, I think this is all I got unless you got some other comments here before we wrap up.
No, I'm just going to say I think Gaffney.
I got to say, we didn't make our 5A picks. Got the 5A picks.
I think Gaffney, just going by what they've got this year, what they did last year, they're the team to beat. I'll say that for me. They're the team to beat in 5A. And my sleeper, Gaffney people, don't go crazy. I'm not saying they're going to beat you. But my team to watch outside of them, sleeper, Spartanburg.
Really? Very interesting. Very interesting. I agree with you. I think Gaffney is the favorite. I mean, they got to be, in Upper State especially. My team to watch, Hillcrest. That they've got so much offensive firepower back. They're going to be, if they get ahead of you early on, it's tough to catch up with what they're doing there. I think the Rams are in for a big season. Lower State, obviously like what Zoltan Osborne's doing at Fort Dorchester. I just hope that somebody like can kind of compete with them in Lower State. We need somebody to be good down there.
I think Dutch Fork.
We know Dutch Fork will be good. We know they're going to be a tough out, of course, but we need somebody in Lower State. Quick shout out to Ken and Mark and Connor and Brian, all you guys checking us out. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really do appreciate your time tonight. But I think that about does it, John, unless you have any final thoughts here for the folks.
That's it. I'm excited about that Gaffney South Point game is going to be awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that, too. That's going to be – we got some awesome games first few weeks of the season. No doubt. Patrick, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for the nice words, man. Like I said, check out our new website, movingchains.com. John and I will be back here next Tuesday with a Week 0 preview. We may have a coach's interview dropping on Monday for you guys. Just keep in tune with our pages here and check that out. But
For John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Moving the Chains 4A and 5A preview show. We will catch you guys soon.